What's up, slashes and slashettes? My name's Nightfall, and welcome back to another anime analysis video. Today we will be discussing the surprisingly decent isekai and harem called Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. So, let's start off with a brief rundown of plot points and stuff like that. The show starts off with our protagonist, Kaga Michio, waking up in a stable. He had just gotten a game and logged into it, so as of right now, he's only thinking that it's the game. However, that doesn't last long as bandits attack the village he's staying in, and he fights and kills them. He then tries to log out, but, surprise surprise, he can't. This sends him into a panic, not only because he's trapped in some VR game, but also because, since this is his new reality, it means he just killed actual human beings. We also see his sword, Durandal, which is super overpowered, allowing him to absorb both HP and MP from his target, among many other things. After killing the bandits, he looks over the equipment, and it turns out a dude stole the bandana he wanted, so he sold him as a slave. Not that he really wanted to, he just hadn't known the customs of the world, and after realizing the guy would be sold into slavery, he didn't know what would happen if he tried to stop it. However, this does lead to him meeting Alan, a slave trader from Vale who is actually quite friendly towards Michio. And we also meet Roxanne, a wolfkin slave with big assets. He and Alan come to an agreement that Michio will save up the money and buy her in 5 days. He's given 2 ways to make a lot of money: labyrinths, which are difficult to make money from in a short amount of time, and bounties, which makes money faster than labyrinths, but are actually more dangerous as you run the risk of becoming a target yourself. After almost dying in the labyrinths, he decides if he's going to die anyways, he might as well take the option that gets him more money. This leads to him systematically killing multiple bandits as they sleep without even batting an eye. This dude is fucking terrifying. Anywho, after turning in their bounties, he finally purchased Roxanne. Don't worry, that'll be the last time I do that. They go and get her equipment and things like that, and bathe and fuck and have a grand old time. Roxanne tells us about multiple things regarding the world and labyrinths as they clear monsters and acquire magic crystals, just basic world building things to better explain what the labyrinths are and why magic crystals are cool to grab and things like that. After leaving the labyrinth, Michio spots a bandit watching Alan's trade house, which leads to Alan hiring Michio as a bodyguard. Now, this doesn't have anything to really do with the analysis, but Michio uses equivalent exchange and pulls a Makima on a bandit. Meanwhile, Alan and his battle mages take care of the others, which leads to Michio gaining the ability to cast magic. However, it also drains him of lots of MP. Later on, they venture to Kuratar so they can get a staff to help Michio use magic, but they also end up renting a house. Much later, they fight a ram monster, which, I kid you not, is called a fucking beep sheep. And for once, they actually have trouble with a monster as it causes Michio to pass out due to its ability. Usually, Michio can one-shot stuff with Durandal. I'm not actually sure if I mentioned that or not. Anywho, they then took baths and other harem anime and ecchi stuff, and then went back to the labyrinth to kill rabbits. So that's great. But don't worry, a rabbit gets revenge as it kills another adventurer, which gets Michio thinking about his situation, and why he's even going to the labyrinths in the first place. But Roxanne manages to help with his thoughts with some booba hugs, which understandably fixes everything. He then heads back to Alan to get a new party member, and that's where we meet Sherry, a dwarf who becomes his second frontline fighter and is quite knowledgeable about skills as well as other forms of research that allow her to give Michio, as well as us viewers, the information that Roxanne can't. We also find out what the human's unique job is. Wolfkin has Beast Warrior, dwarves have Blacksmith, and finishing out the Triforce, humans have Sex Maniac. Because of course we do. The season then ends with a bunch of ecchi stuff and him expanding his new harem to include a Neko named Miria, a presumably human girl named Vesta, and an elf named Rutina. With the plot points done, let's talk about how and why this anime is a great isekai. This show itself is actually a really good isekai, as it actually has a pretty decent story even without the harem aspect. It's probably a solid A-tier isekai. Michio is a surprisingly good protagonist as he actually uses common sense and strategism quite a bit throughout the season. The pacing is also really nice, and the other subplots like the murdering of all those bandits in episode 3, and again when the bandits attack Alan's mansion, fit really well with the story. The fights in the Labyrinth, while they may not be the most action-packed, still give you an idea of what the characters are capable of. And certain plot points raise some interesting questions, like, for example, Michio got trapped in this world after playing a game, so are there other people from our world in it? Obviously, the chances are pretty high, but will we ever hear about or meet them? Another thing that raised a question is his 30% discount and bonus skills. The question that raises is, are the other characters, who would be game NPCs, aware of the discount and bonus? Like, after making the deal, do they ever question why they gave him the products for less, or why they gave him more money when buying from him? Does their mind even register that they did it? It's weird and minor things like this that fuel my insomnia. But the pacing and story isn't everything that makes this anime good. The filler, like them buying a house and stuff, also helps make the anime feel more natural and organic, as it keeps it from jumping around a lot and helps tie in the harem genre of the show without it being too forced. Which brings us to why it's also an amazing harem. And actually, the reason why is because they don't really rush it. Well, until quite literally the last 2 minutes of the season where he gets the other girls. But anyways, throughout the entire season, it only focuses on him and Roxanne, as Sherry isn't introduced until episode 11. This allows their relationship to develop, and their relationship is almost like Naofumi's and Raphtalia's, except more sexual, and obviously, Michio and Roxanne probably don't have as deep a bond as them. But you get what I'm trying to say. Also, while Michio can get pushy at times, if you catch my drift, he's nowhere near as bad as other harem protagonists, which allows the ecchi scenes to happen more naturally, and actually feel like part of the story, rather than being forced into the plot and overshadowing everything else. Honestly, the reason it's a good harem is because it doesn't actually focus on the harem, which really speaks about the genre. The only thing I would change, though, would be to either wait and introduce the other girls next season, or if this anime does get another season, go more in depth with where he went and how he bought them. Overall, it's an anime that has a little bit of everything for the fans of the genres it covers, and that's why I think it's not only one of the greatest isekai, but one of the greatest harems as well. So I usually don't watch, like, actual harems. Obviously, most rom-coms and isekai and stuff have shared themes with them, but actual, like, harems are usually, well, terrible. So I wasn't even planning on watching this anime, but I decided I was obligated to do so as I am the self-proclaimed king of isekai. So I did, and I was genuinely surprised. Earlier I said it was a solid A tier, but it's probably more like mid to upper B tier. It's just shocking how much better it was than what I was expecting. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will hopefully see you all soon. Goodbye.